Listen to them. Podcatchers of the night. What music they make. Dracula is coming up next.
Haven't Seen It with Tim Sestito and Tommy Tevene. Hello, everybody. Welcome on in. Thank you all so much for listening today. This is a podcast where one of us is watching a movie for the very first time. And today, that is myself, and I believe Tommy,
Yeah,
correct?
never seen it. Yeah.
And then I'm not sure about our wonderful guest joining us here, Andrew Morgan, host of the Recent Activity podcast. He's also a writer over on What's on Netflix. We're very excited to have him join here to discuss Todd Browning's Dracula from 1931. Andrew, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, guys. I'm super impressed. I've heard that theme music that you have. I didn't realize that's actually Tommy playing fretless bass as we do the intro. That's amazing.
Straight up live performance every time. You have to be at the top of the head. No notes.
Just full commitment. That's what I appreciate from you guys.
There's no notes, just vibes from Tommy.
Yeah, just vibes.
Yeah.
I just watch Seinfeld in the background and then I get it.
It's just full hipster with you all the time, Tommy. Just fretless basses, twisting and waxing your mustache.
My total hipster mustache is obviously an audio podcast, but you're missing my big Hungarian mustache I have.
Yes.
So. We were
on your
discussing
giant wheel.
We were discussing doing this whole podcast in Hungarian, but we got a little hang up where none of us actually speak the language, so it made it a little tough.
Yeah, tough.
Would have helped.
Yeah.
Would have helped, but just before we dive into this, Andrew, was this your first time watching this Dracula?
It was, and I was actually surprised. Like a lot of the Universal Monster stuff, you would think, just comes across at some point. Even some lazy substitute teacher hungover, like from a Halloween party, like never just dialed this one up. I didn't, I went to, college, film programs and everything else, never came across the desk, which is wild. But I've seen Frankenstein and The Invisible Man. I don't think I've seen Wolfman. The original anyway. But yeah, never saw all of this one, besides like all those like AFI clip shows or some Oscar reel where it's just Bela Lugosi's eyes over and over again.
Yeah, that's like the only part of this movie I've seen. Just Bela Lugosi saying "Children of the Night" and then just his eyes. That's about it.
Yeah, and then the classic theme at the beginning too was there as well. But it was, it's especially if you've done film programs and stuff, you end up watching a lot of classic films, and this is one that I feel like the name Dracula holds a lot more weight in pop culture than this movie does. And maybe, as we'll discuss a little bit later on, there might be a good reason for it.
Yeah. I feel like Bela Lugosi lives on, but I feel like everything else about this movie is not really that well known. I feel like people just know the image of Bela Lugosi and they're like, oh yeah, that's Dracula. And everything else is just like, oh, there's a movie.
Yeah.
So it feels like.
And especially for this movie that is based on the play because they didn't want to get sued by Bram Stoker or anybody else who held the rights, so they're not even doing the classic, just story framing from that book. So yeah, it's Dracula, but it's not exactly the way we've seen it. And of course we have to wait until Francis Ford Coppola does it better later.
Question mark?
Yeah, question mark. I love Gary Oldman anyway. Yeah.
Hopefully at least a better transfer than the one on Amazon Prime.
Oh,
but that's
oh God, yeah.
That's here nor there. So we're gonna kick this off with what have you watched recently, whether it's in theaters, at home, just a movie you saw recently. Andrew, why don't we kick it off to you?
Oh man, what haven't I? I literally just got home from the Woodstock Film Festival over the weekend, so I was watching Honora, Emilia Perez, like a couple of movies that are in Oscar contention for this year. And then my writing for what's on Netflix was Woman of the Hour this week. And then I also watched, because I'm a savage, I watched Smile 2 before I got on the road to go to a film festival. So I just can't stop, guys. What, like, pick one and I'll
give me a spoiler-free Honora review, because I am very interested in that one.
Yeah.
If you like the Safdie brothers or like obviously Sean Baker's other work, but and I know people who can't handle that kind of frenetic pace or constant screaming or intensity that some of those movies do. If you can't handle that, then this one isn't for you because it's like 90% like just either nonstop partying or trying to find one Russian oligarch's son in the middle of Manhattan, going from place to place, trying to find him, and getting into fights and swearing and lots of different languages. So I liked it quite a bit. I don't understand why it's like, say, the Best Picture front runner. That confuses me because I'm like, have you met the Academy? Like, why would they go for like a stripper marrying a oligarch's son and then trying to take on that family? Like, that's not a traditional kind of Oscar-y play, so to speak, even in the new Academy. So I don't see that, but it's a lot of fun. Like, I had a lot of fun watching it. I just was trying to like see what the takeaway is to get it to be an Oscar film.
I think it speaks to this year of films coming out, though, and obviously the writer's strike is going to impact this a
For
good
sure.
amount from last year. But it feels like outside of horror, there's been a lot of good horror films that have been released here this year. But outside of that, I feel like it hasn't been. Like, I feel like the only big mainstream hit this year was Deadpool and Wolverine versus like last year when there's just like a lot of great films that came out. I felt like last year was a really great year for film, and this year hasn't been so much. But
Yeah, I don't want to like get on my stump or anything, but like I keep trying to ask somebody like, why are we dismissing some of the movies from early in the year and just waiting for something to be better? I'm like, I didn't even love the first Dune, but the second Dune is a goddamn masterpiece. Like,
second
it
Dune's
is
awesome.
so good. And everybody's like, well, but they're going to make a third one, so we're going to Lord of the Rings this thing. I'm like, no, don't do that. Like,
Award the good things while we have it.
yeah, like, exactly. Yeah.
Award the good things while it's like, especially in a year, award the good things and something that traditionally wouldn't. Because like I wouldn't even compare this to like Lord of the Rings, Dune to Lord of the Rings, because it's
No, because the rest
it's
of the novels are nuts.
well, and Dune is nuts on itself. It was written by a guy on an LSD trip.
Yes.
And the adaptation is kind of nuts, where Lord of the Rings is pretty like straightforward hero's journey kind of stuff. Like,
Sure.
we're not taking an archetype and spreading it. It's just a beautifully written novel and an incredible translation onto film there. Incredible adaptation. I wouldn't consider that, but I would say Dune 2 is probably the best, maybe not my favorite of the year, but easily the best movie I've seen this year.
Yeah, and challengers and other things that were early on in the year. Like, tell me why we're not like just okay, so that's penciled into the top 10, like the 10 nominees, whatever. Like, I don't get it. Like, they're all just waiting for like some movie that just isn't coming. I don't know what they want to see. Like, are we waiting for Clint Eastwood's movie that only just had a trailer? What are we doing?
Juror number
2.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is.
And listen, that looks great, but still, like, Clint Eastwood's last few movies have been tough to swallow. So
he's getting up there. I mean, his one take
94.
is showing up.
Yeah, and Gladiator 2 and Wicked, like, I don't like maybe I don't know, like I can't see it.
Wicked
looks awful.
Wicked,
it does.
At least on a visual standpoint. I can't speak to the quality of like what the adaptation will be, but on a visual standpoint, it looks gross. Like,
yeah,
I hate it.
Like,
it's like, why do we go back from like
it's just nasty.
It's like, why do we go back from practical sets where like the original Wizard of Oz
they did build
so fantastic?
They did practical sets, and then they
shot it terribly, or
they
CGI shot it did, or whatever.
Yeah. Anyway, but
that's tough beat.
Yeah.
So you would recommend Anora to Tommy and I then, because that's something I feel like I would enjoy. I like Safdie brother films.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Yeah, if you're into that kind of stuff. And that's what's weird, like I said about this whole thing, because I'm like, I loved Uncut Gems the year it came out, and then like the Academy did nothing with it. So like, and everybody was so critical or like critically high on that movie too, and everything else. I'm just like, why is this one different? I mean, besides quote a weaker year, I don't get it. But they won the Palme d'Or, and here we are.
Yeah, I think it's also some people being snobs about Adam Sandler, where they're like, are we going to give him an Oscar? No.
Yeah, because we're
You're
all
the
somehow like, oh, Mikey Madison. What? Like,
yeah,
okay.
the killer
Yeah.
from Scream 5. Spoiler.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Yeah.
But Tommy, what about you? What have you seen recently?
All right, so I've been watching nothing but horror movies all month, as it is October. So I just watched Smile 2, which Andrew brought up. I saw in theaters yesterday. One mentioned, I felt like the first Smile was kind of just a retread on The Ring, and this in many ways is kind of a little bit similar to this. But I feel like the pop star angle just kind of elevated it for me a little bit. And I think the like mentions of fame and how much of a mindfuck this movie can be, and I think an all-time ender for a horror movie. Which if they make a Smile 3, I can't wait to see what they do with it. But just a fun, crazy, batshit horror movie. So that's all I can say about it.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I'm not sorry to if I'm
No,
interjecting, but
go.
just
No,
after seeing it myself, like I actually thought it was I thought it's like they crafted a really well like that movie looks excellent and
Mm,
it's so well acted and all these things. I felt in the middle kind of bored, and
yeah,
because I thought it ended strong, started strong. And then it's like these movies, these horror movies, a lot of them, which not that I'm advocating for Terrifier for every movie or anything,
yeah,
'cause
yeah.
that's not me either. But there is something about like the A24ification of horror where it's like you got like it's like, hey, we wrote this heavy drama. Why don't we put this one little hook in here and then we'll just it's always about trauma, but here
Mm.
let's make it about this hook. And like you said, it's The Ring. It follows. There's a lot of stuff to go with it, but I don't know, man. Like for it to be one kind of story, where last time it felt like at least inventive. It brought a lot of. I thought the first one was way scarier.
Mm.
Like the end of the first movie, that mom character looks like Momo, like that weird internet thing that like it just freaked me the hell out. Like I couldn't even look it in the face. This one, I don't think it got to that level,
Mm.
but I still enjoyed it. So it's still a very good movie. I just somehow like the first one a little bit better.
Yeah, I think there's a part of the movie where like there's a partial where I was thinking like, okay, where are the smile demons? Can we get more smile demons in here?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
and this movie wasn't as reliant on jump scares as I felt the first one was, but it's
Yeah.
still fun to have them. Like it was sprinkled in a little bit more in the movie. I just still just I got handed to them for the ending. I don't want to spoil it, but just like when I saw the trailer, I was like, this is what the ending should be, and they did it. I was like, fuck yeah. All right, can we see the
Yeah.
next 10 minutes of what happens
Yeah. Because
right
that's gonna be
after?
chaos.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
But leading up to it, I mean, I think Parker Finn, he could be good for an action movie. The opening shot of like Gallner as like a cop
Yeah.
and like doing a raid was like a fun little action little movie moment. So I like to see
Yeah.
him go past just the smile movies and branch out a little bit to see if he can do like a fun action movie or something else with that one because I think he's a good
Yeah.
director.
Same.
I guess I'll have to check out Smile too. Andrew, if you're not aware, I am not the horror one of us
Yeah.
here. I'm more of like drama. Like, what did I do watch on Saturday night? I watched 12 Angry Men, but I'm saving that one
Excellent.
for another time. But
Yeah.
I want to discuss a movie I saw in theaters, and I saw Saturday night. I saw the SNL movie, which was kind of a mess in an okay way, I feel like. Andrew, did you see it by any chance?
I did. We covered it on our pod, and like, there's just it. They were so dead on. I thought the casting was almost better than some of the stuff that the movie
Yeah.
provides, because you're just like, damn, that person nailed like the essence of like Chevy Chase or whoever you
Yeah,
want
the
to
guy who played
buzz.
Chevy, I thought was fantastic. The guy who played Dan was fantastic. Even the guy who played Belushi got his like artistic temperament that Belushi had and like really embodied that.
Yeah,
Especially with his like turmoil on the especially that first season of SNL. He did not like that Chevy Chase was the star.
yeah.
Um,
And
but
Gabriel Labette, like that guy's on fire for being such a young actor. The
yeah,
guy who
he
played
is.
Warren Michaels, like
And
he, if you haven't seen Snack Shack, that's a small little indie film he did in between The Fablemans and this one, and it is a joy, especially if you like coming of age movies. Though
Hmm.
it's such a good movie, but it's weird to see him go from like young Spielberg to another high school thing to now he's Lauren Michaels.
He's gonna take over all the 70s auteurs and stuff like
Yes, exactly, for sure.
yeah, and like I thought it was fairly well directed too. Like there were a lot of like long takes in there too. I just felt like it was there was a more interesting movie to make if you didn't put this pressure of putting it as like the 90 minutes leading up to
Yeah,
the release of it. I think there was a much more interesting movie to be made
I
if you
agree.
chronicled more of the chaos that led up to that, and then
Hmm.
you shorten it down, because how much of it can be like, how much of the movie can really be Lauren, the show is 3 hours long the way we have it thing. What are we cutting? And then just like in
Right.
the last 2 minutes, they're like, okay, we got this. It was like this weird, like I was like, okay, this is a weird, it's supposed to be like the triumphant like moment where they get it together. And I know from like the real history too of SNL, like they're
What
supposed to
parts are
debut.
BS? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like they were supposed to debut the week prior. It got pushed back. They did a whole segment on Tom Snyder's show. They basically were like, Tom, take these kids in a room and interview them. And he
Right.
was like, okay. And then that's what they did. So like it was actually fairly ready, and this pressure of like it not being ready is not true because it was canceled and they did not make any mention of that. But it
Right.
seemed like the cast was having fun. Like I enjoyed
Hmm.
it. There was a lady in my theater who loved this movie,
Which is dying.
just
Yeah.
dying. I was like, oh, you
Oh,
watched this episode live, so I get, because like that was the other thing too. I feel like a lot of the funny moments were from the skits
Yeah.
of them just replicating it, and not so much from the stuff in between. And I was like, I don't always love that, where it's like I know
yeah.
you're doing an homage, but if you're not coming up with funny stuff really outside, there was a couple of funny moments, but I felt like it wasn't funny enough. Also, Nicholas Braun as Andy Kaufman and Jim Henson was kind of rubbed me the wrong way.
Oh,
I know that
really?
was a weird cast.
I thought
I
he
know it
kind
was
of
a,
nailed it though.
so I read something that it was like a weird casting issue, like the guy that they had to play Andy Kaufman like backed out like as production started. So they were just like,
Oh,
That
that's
sounds
wild.
about right.
you kind of look like him. You want to play him? So that's kind of what
Sure.
Yeah.
happened. It was just kind
Um.
of jarring to see. It felt like a 30 Rock bit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, a little bit. And
It,
it's weird that it's Jason Reitman though, because his last few like since to me he started off real hot where he was doing, Juno and Thank You for Smoking and all these movies that I like. And then now he just makes like he tries to really make things so wholesome and like
yeah.
felt like what he did to Ghostbusters, I'm never gonna
Ugh.
I'm
Ugh.
I'm
Yeah.
never gonna forgive him for that.
Oh
Like
God.
this was a movie where it's like a bunch of dudes, who are like just joking and whatever, just fighting, ghosts and whatever. Like it's not complicated. It's like they got a bunch of funny people together and made a funny, sci-fi comedy. And it's like now it's like, hold on, it's about family, it's about legacy, and it's about nostalgia. It's like shut up. Just make a goddamn Ghostbusters movie.
We don't need to have the
It's about
Ghostbusters on like
family,
a pedestal.
and that's what's so powerful about it.
That's also what Star Wars is now about. It's about family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'd ask
Yeah.
you guys this. So I mean, I agree with you. I think Jason Reitman's first few movies, Up in the Air, I thought was fantastic.
I loved
yeah,
Up in the
was
Air.
was fun. I think that he kind of just like got trapped into the point of like just nostalgia trap where now he's like, oh, my dad was like tangentially related to Saturday Night, so I'm gonna do that next. My dad did Ghostbusters. I'm gonna
Yeah.
do Ghostbusters, and it's just like I haven't seen Saturday Night yet. I'm going to eventually. Now, Variety has it pegged for a Best Picture nomination. Do you guys
I
think
can't
that's
see it.
fair?
I can't see it.
I hope not, but hey, can I give it a Best Picture nomination for the poster? Because the biggest reason I went to go see this movie was
Sure.
the movie poster, because the movie poster absolutely slaps, and that art has become a lost form, and I'm glad to see they actually made a very good one for it.
Right.
Uh,
But I mean,
for-
here's the thing: is they're going to be bombarded with, it's we're breathing on the 50-year anniversary of this. There's going to be so many promotional things. Like SNL's already a tool for like actors to build their Oscar campaigns and like host a weekend near the voting time and all this other stuff. Like, can you imagine how much they're going to do to try to promote that movie into
Oh,
getting
God.
something? And this movie screams success at the Golden Globes for some reason, but that's also quote unquote old Golden Globes, but it totally feels like it.
Oh, this will be nominated for a Golden Globe Best Comedy for sure. It just has
Oh,
all the
yeah.
right pieces for it.
Yeah,
Willem Dafoe guest starring right around Oscar season.
exactly. Yeah. So they're going to do all of it. So I can't see where this doesn't have some success later, but it's such a movie that just washes over you because it's so frenetic. It moves so fast. It's all like these, tracking shots, handhelds, all this thing to, go from one crazy bit to another. But you don't actually get to sit in like the parts that don't work until after the movie. And I go, oh yeah, that was kind of contrived. This is a little stupid. That totally didn't happen. And then so it just works on you. But if you're talking about, Hollywood, like Academy voters, they're probably only going to see this once and they'll probably not think of it again because they'll move right to the next one.
It's pretty forgettable in that sense. The one good bit was when they were with the Christian woman who was the censor for the network, and they just kept coming up with different words to get along with it, and being like, so what is a golden shower exactly? Right. It's like, oh, it's actually a pose you use in yoga to get the sun out. And then there's the one great confrontation in the writer's room. Like, there are good moments in this movie, but I think this manic energy, which is I think was trying to basically encapsulate like the chaos SNL is and definitely was in its early seasons. I feel like it wasn't the best setting choice for a movie, and I think lengthening it out over 2 weeks, perhaps, like the first trial run and then the actual trial run, might have let us sit in it a little bit more and kind of get a better sense of what it is. And they just kept asking over and over again, like, Lauren, what is this show? I know what it is, but there's no way to describe it.
And that's not a conversation they're having 30 minutes before air. So they don't have to prove anything. And quite frankly, like you're right though, this movie suffers from like prequel disease where you're like, I know this episode goes to air. I know like we all are very knowing that this is going to be a success and that they're not going to get replaced. Like, so all the drama that they're doing doesn't fully work. It does in that encapsulated setting. And then as soon as it happened, it goes, okay, well, that happened. You don't take anything with you when the movie ends.
Well, I saw a tweet recently when this movie was getting released, but someone said, I would love to see a version of this movie that like talks about pop culture property that like, instead of having it being revered, one where like they just failed at the end. Like, kind of like when we covered Ed Wood last month, which is why we got to Dracula, where just like a version of like a movie of like, I don't know, some random 1980s schlock movie where it's just like, yeah, we're going to do this great. And then it was awful. What were you thinking? Or like, the Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip.
A movie well, that's what on the making of Water,
like.
A movie on the making of Waterworld.
Yes.
Well, hey, if it's the Waterworld Universal ride, then it's a rousing success.
Yeah, it's true.
Still open.
But fair. Tim, to your point though, like my thing that I took away was the guy who plays the head writer, Michael O'Donoghue, had that exchange a lot with the censor people, played by Tommy Dewey. I love that guy. I thought he was like my favorite part of the whole thing.
I agree. He was the best like character that popped up.
He got all the laugh lines besides Chevy Chase, basically.
Yeah, the guy who played Chevy had the best impression, I felt like, though. It was just so spot on and just encapsulated his smugness.
Yeah.
He was just a guy you really wanted to punch in the face. And J.K. Simmons making a weird cameo.
I was going to say, are you plus or like positive or negative on Milton Berle's penis?
Can I just be neutral? I don't go one
Can way. You?
You don't want to vote on it?
Can you?
Is it possible?
I'm pro because it feels like something that would happen backstage at SNL in the 1970s, but negative on it actually happening to somebody, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm with you.
That's my feeling on it. But okay, let's talk about perhaps a less entertaining movie than all the ones we have just discussed here. Let's discuss 1931 Dracula, guys. Dust off your history books. We're going back in time. I'm doing a little trailer right now with my words because normally we play a TV spot here, but this was released before the invention of television, and all the trailers are like 3 minutes long, and I'm not going to subject you to that because it's mostly just audio and it's just mostly just music anyway. So, oh wow, what a trailer, guys. Dracula 1931, kind of kicking off that Universal monster movie things. When I think of horror films from this era, I think of Nosferatu as the original like landmark horror film of the time, like silent film still, but still a part of this. And a big thing for me watching this movie was trying to put myself into the mindset of like, it's been 3 years since The Jazz Singer. Like, silent movies are still being released regularly into movie theaters.
Right.
Like, think about what the audience would actually be going in to see and what they had seen in the past to kind of set that expectation of like what this movie is versus me watching it in a contemporary setting. Because if this movie was released in like 1991, it would have been sent straight to VHS and would be a movie people make fun of. I'm sorry, that's just my takeaway of it.
Yeah, it's tough. Like when this is also like I think the oldest movie we've covered on the podcast.
By a mile.
Because I think the next one would be probably what It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah.
And that one is holds up and everything like that. I think part of the problem with me with this movie and the similar problem I had of the original Frankenstein is this is around the era when like the talkies were a new thing, sound in movies were a new thing, and the fact that they didn't feel that they could have a score in this movie like throughout it just really harken it back. I mean, I feel like you're just watching a live recording of a play instead. I don't think Todd Bryan had a great mastery of camera work and stuff like that. And apparently the reason they didn't have a musical soundtrack was because they believed with sound being such a recent innovation in films, the audience would not accept hearing music in a scene if there's no explanation for it being there. So it kind of cuts the dramatic tension when you have Bela Lugosi doing things like with the hand, which that still is awesome. That still rocks, but you just need a good score. And apparently there's a version of this with a Philip Glass score that he made in 99. I would love to see that version because that sounds way better.
Yeah.
Well, Tommy, another thing is Todd Browning only really shot the scenes of Dracula's castle and Borgo Pass in the first week of production. According to numerous accounts, it was a mostly disorganized affair, and meticulously Todd Browning, he left cinematographer Carl Freund to take over much of the shoot, which might lead into why I felt like the beginning of it when they're in Hungary going to Transylvania, like those shots felt a little more dynamic. Like I was a lot more invested in the first 15 minutes of this movie, and then as soon as it got to London, it struggling to keep my interest.
Yeah, at that point, I think the production design of the castle was awesome. All the spywebs and cobwebs and stuff like that. But it just felt so static just over and over again, where it's just like it lost momentum immediately. Andrew, how'd you feel on first watch?
Yeah, Bela Lugosi obviously stands out because he's the image you're used to, and it doesn't disappoint. And it's interesting you talk about like the cinematography and stuff. I thought the stuff in the castles was super impressive. In fact, there were some wide shots, especially at the end where they have the huge staircase.
Yes, I agree.
Those look like oil paintings. It's amazing. Even like you said on the bad transfer that Amazon Prime has, that brutal. It still looked amazing in those shots. So I agree that in castle stuff, great. Outside of that, a little like hammy, and definitely the pace is very slow. Like for 1931, and you were talking about the context of like, yes, we are new to talkies in itself, but and I tried to give this movie a pass for that, and then I looked like, what year did this movie come out? And I kept doing that over and over. And I was like, what won Best Picture? And it's like the year before, like you had All Quiet on the Western Front, where it's like, okay, so what are we talking about? You could have done better. Or even like, I'm like, all right, well, Hitchcock to me, I'm more of like a 1940s and up. But then I'm like, wait a minute, 39 Steps comes out in like 1935 and like all these things. So I'm like, I don't know, this guy could have done better. But and he has done better, because if you ever seen Todd Browning's Freaks, it comes out the following year and it's better. So and also has a horror legacy with that.
Yeah, it kind of feels like Todd Browning kind of half-assed this one, where he was just like, I'm not really that interested in this. What's interesting, have you guys heard of the 1931 Spanish version of this movie?
El Dracula? No, I'm just kidding. I have no idea.
Yeah. So basically, apparently, like back then, back in like the 30s, when talkies were a new thing, this is before they started dubbing over movies. So instead, they'd like basically reuse the same sets and to make like a Spanish version and wherever. And they shot a Spanish language version of Dracula. And apparently the directors of that movie were in the case of like one-upping Todd Browning, where they get the dailies for what Todd Browning shot earlier that day. And then at night they'd shoot something and be like, how can we make this better than what Tom Browning did? So
Huh.
I watched a side-by-side comparison on YouTube. Like I didn't watch the full version, but you can just tell the director of the 1931 Spanish version just cared much more about cinematography. There's much more like crane shots going in and stuff like that. And it's not even like the cinematographer of Dracula, the American version, is bad. It was Carl Fruit who got shot Metropolis, which
Right.
is amazingly shot. It just, I think Todd Browning just preferred a static camera, and you can just tell in terms of blocking and everything like that, the Spanish version looks like it's the preferable version, which is shocking because you never hear about it these days.
This felt like a bit of a community theater play
Yeah.
put on. That's kind of my takeaway from it. Not in a necessarily in a bad way, but I guess in a bad way when you have the guy who created the Dracula character on screen, Bela Lugosi. It would be like seeing him doing Dracula in like on stage in like 1951, and you're just like, oh,
So you
that's
know
not the
that
Dracula I can remember.
you know that's kind of the story of this though,
Oh,
because they based this on the play, like I mentioned earlier, and that play Lugosi had been playing on and off
Oh, yeah.
for like years, and he signed up to do this movie like really late because it was supposed to be Lon Chaney, and then Lon Chaney, like after he had already agreed to it, died like 3 months later. So he wasn't supposed to have the job. So he got the job last minute. He only got it because he had been doing the play stuff, because Lugosi was not a name really at this point. Like this movie kind of put him on the map. And because he only had a few movies under his belt, I think, before this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And his career is definitely very odd afterwards, at least a little bit. Like he's doing Son of Frankenstein, Black Cat. Like he's doing a lot of kind of like monster adjacent stuff for like a while until he hooks up with Ed Wood, like you guys said later, where he's doing Glen or Glenda and Plan 9 from Outer Space. But like
yeah.
this
Well,
one definitely is his thing, you know.
It's
And he
shocking that
deserves it.
Yeah, it's shocking that unlike Boris Karloff, he only reprised Dracula in Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein, which I've
Right.
seen that movie multiple times, and I think it's so much startling how like the difference of like what I think it's like 13 years or something like that makes a difference in film. 'Cause that movie still plays great. It's a great horror comedy, whereas this one, I like Tim said, I just felt bored. And Bell didn't even make that much money doing this. He only paid agreed to a contract that made him like $500 a week, and I think inflation calculator they said it was like about he probably got paid like 60K for this movie in total,
Right. Yeah.
in today's money. So
Hey,
he just so
yeah.
desperately wanted. I mean, I imagine wohat's his name, Lon Chaney would have been the expensive get. So when they heard Bela
Oh,
Lugosi
God,
was
yeah.
going to do it, the studio was probably like, "Oh fuck yeah, we're going to do this for cheaper."
Yeah. Did you guys get shocked at all that like they really don't do a lot of like they don't go hard in the paint with the vampire stuff. Like
Yeah.
everything is a cutaway, everything is like a fade out, everything is covered by something. And like even to the point of like the end of this movie where it's like you're getting a stake through the heart moment and they're like, "Cool, what's he doing over there instead?" Like
Yeah,
what are you talking about?
I had to rewind that
Yeah.
because I was like, is this really how they're ending this?
Yeah.
They're just putting a stake through the heart, but
They're like, let's
off
show
camera?
him finding a rock. It's like,
Yeah.
what?
It's like,
Are you
why are you
stupid?
focused on this?
There's
Yeah.
also weird cuts in this movie I noticed, like right at the beginning when they're taking the horse down and they stop in the village, like and then the business guy's walking back onto the cart. They like just cut to a random family, like kind of consoling each other, and then it just runs off, and I was like, what was that cut? Like
Yeah.
there's just like random cuts of like
Yeah.
people in this movie, like just random frames kind of put into it.
Yeah.
I think the biggest issue with this, because like I think some of the technical stuff overall, I can definitely digress with. You know, a transfer is a transfer. We all agree that this. I'm sure if we saw this maybe in a theater with like an actual film reel from 1931, it's probably much more engaging to at least or looks better. I think this biggest issue was the narrative in this one. Like I just thought
Yeah.
it was like he moves to London. They don't really give a reason why he's moving to London. Like, are there people coming to burn down his castle? Like, no, he's moving to London. Okay.
Yeah, he has those people pretty shook in that village. Like nobody's coming near him. He's got 3 wives. The guy's doing all right, you know.
And then
Yeah. What's the reason?
and then he moves to London, and then he just like goes to the opera, meets this family, says hi. Like I thought, oh, it was to, break Renfield out of prison
Right.
or out of the mental facility that he was in, and it was just like, nope, I'm moving right next door. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. And then he just like haunts there, and then Van Helsing shows up, and he's an old man, and then my
Yeah.
image of Van Helsing is whatever that movie from the mid 2000s that came out where he's like,
Oh, the Hugh
Van
Jackman.
Helsing Monster Hunter.
Yeah.
It's
That
like
movie
the
that movie
2000s
rocks. It's
version.
so bad, but it's so good.
It's like the 2000s version of this, just like
Yeah.
that garbage like 2004
Oh.
movie. Like
Yeah.
that's
There's
my
some-
picture of it, and then
There's some halal place down the street from me that plays that movie all the time now during this month, and I'm always like, "Oh, you're watching Van Helsing again? Fuck yeah!" It's amazing. It's so random.
Let it rip, guys. Just let Van Helsing rip.
Yeah.
And he's just like an old
but-
professor in this one who just like walks around with a cross. And then the daughter gets bit, and like the other girl, her friend dies, and like they're just like, oh, okay, well, Dracula, you can still come over. It's all right. Come say hi. Come hang out with us. And I was just like, what is this movie? Like, what am I watching?
Well, it's weird that like they don't even show stuff like it's because this is a pre-code movie, so this is before like they had to like do all the censors and
Adhere to
everything like
everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
They could have gone a little bit harder if they wanted to. Like it's shocking that they don't even show like a bite mark on the neck. They
Yeah.
zoom out way too much. Where the Spanish version apparently they zoomed in and everything like that. And in terms of the narrative, I mean, I try and be like fair with older movies where I'm like, okay, like they maybe didn't figure stuff out at the time, but Nosferatu was what 8 years before this, maybe 1922, so like 9 years. And that movie, while it's a silent movie, just so much more dynamically paced, and you figure out everything. It's so much creepier. It feels like when you're watching like Nosferatu, it feels like you're watching like a demonic tape almost. Whereas this just feels like, oh, they had the actors on set and they just hit play and record. It was how I would have directed the movie when I was in 7th grade for my book report.
Right. But can we talk about how funny this movie is at times, though? And obviously, like, kind of unintentionally, because, like, to me, the orderly at the sanitarium is like my favorite person.
He's the best character in this movie. His accent is out of this world. I don't know what was going on with that accent, but
between him and Renfield, when he becomes full on Renfield, like the master, like the whole like that accent that he uses, where it's really heightened and really ridiculous, and just like I'm your guy, like he just keeps sucking up to him all the time.
I think Renfield's the best part of this whole movie. I think that his like manic performance is just so funny and so entertaining. But there's some scenes where like he's supposed to be locked up and then he just like walks into a room and like, oh, Renfield, how'd you get here? And it's like, why aren't you not more shocked about this crazy lunatic? Like,
I know, what is this hospital?
Well,
I know what's going on.
But like, and also like, why aren't you showing like him, like it's like, oh, he broke the bars on his jail cell. I'm like, wow, that's really cool for you to say. I would have loved to have seen that. And I would have loved to have seen how in 1931, like they show the rubber bars, then a cut to like a weird angle, and then these rubber things where they just like go like this, and it's like, whoa, and then it like cuts back to the other side, and now the new metal bars are in there. Like when I think of older movies and editing and like effects back then, like that's what I think of, is like these weird little things that they just do to just make it work. Like, okay, I understand what it is.
And that's what's so frustrating, because there's a movie, like I'm gonna try not to mention this too much, but Nosferatu, I feel like they mentioned the stuff of Renfield doing his crazy shit and like actually showing like cool stuff in that movie, where it's just like, this just felt like, oh, we'll just explain it backwards. It's like if Kevin Smith wrote a superhero movie kind of thing, where it's like, we're just going to talk about it instead of actually show it.
Well, here's a perfect example. When they had that scene where they catch the lack of reflection for Dracula in the mirror, and then they confront him about it, and he slaps the mirror out of his hand, and he just goes, I'm sorry I did that, and now I assume Van Helsing will explain why I don't like mirrors.
Oh, yeah.
And like he literally says it as plainly as that. And it's like, what the hell was that? Just either leave in some dramatic way or attack something. You're caught out now. Like the jig is up. Fucking explain yourself or try to get out of it, do something. Instead he was like, You got me there. I'm
and
not really into the mirror thing.
And it's
Yeah, mirrors are a little odd.
That's such a great point where it's like, I am Count Dracula. I'm from Transylvania.
Right.
I haven't been a creature of the night for 500 years or whatever.
Right.
You know, we have lost the bodies now and we are on borrowed time. So we came to a crowded city of London, prepared to die, and then have like a Scooby-Doo chase through the mansion. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
Yeah,
exactly.
give me something
Anything.
here. Like
Well,
it's such an odd movie. It's
It
really
is.
remarkable that it's like, I feel like it's almost a movie that gets lumped in with like the Universal monster movies, and Dracula is, you know, the original novel is such a literary classic,
Yeah.
and it's been done so many times that it just like kind of has this legacy that lives on. But like my only knowledge of the film comes from the movie Ed Wood, where he speaks with it with such reverence, which may be fake because he's like, oh, Bela Lugosi's a name I know. I could get him in my
Right.
movies. But I'm like watching this and I'm just like, this movie sucks.
Well, Lugosi worked with Browning like 3 times, so he had a great experience, at least enough to keep working with him and doing that. But yeah, I don't fully get it.
It feels like a movie where like a lot of the cast is not committed. Apparently, like the guy who played John Harker, so that like he would be like laughing on set and like cracking up in between takes or anything like that. People just didn't hold the reverence. Like, oh, we're in this random fucking movie. The guy who plays Van Helsing is just like a fucking bore. I did not like his performance. It was just like, okay,
Yeah.
like you're just gonna talk about this or everything right here. Like, oh, Van Helsing, even the dynamic moment where he gets the crucifix, he's just about to get bit by Dracula. It feels so just stale.
Yeah. Edward Van Sloan as Van Helsing, and yeah, I kind of agree with you. I felt like he should have been maybe more of a cowboy. You know what I mean? Like just something strictly different from the other doctor, who Dr. Seward, who they were just like the
Right.
same person, and he was just like the one who was just like, oh, we have this garlic weed that we put out in front of here, and make
The
sure you're always
wolfsbane.
wearing a cross, the wolfsbane,
Yeah.
and always make sure you're wearing a cross. And they're scared of mirrors, and I was just like, okay, like you two.
Yeah, if you know so much, why didn't you track this guy down? Like, how do you not know about this guy? Like, you're such an expert, and you're like, oh, I didn't know this guy was that. That's crazy. And so, like, I guess it was all the focus on Renfield, but it's so fun. Like, Harker is like ridiculous in the sense of like he's just getting cucked by Dracula like left and right, and like,
oh yeah,
and he just doesn't seem to give a shit.
He's like, oh, whatever.
He's like, it's his fiance, and meanwhile he's like, do whatever you gotta do with her. Where's that other chick that was hanging around here? Oh, she's kind of haunting people now. Oh, all right, fine, whatever. Running out of women here.
It's like I've seen other adaptations of Dracula and Nosferatu ever, where like, you know, the part that like he takes his fiance is so like they build up the stakes, like, oh my god, I can't believe this happens. Where this just feels indifferent to this Harker. He's just like, yeah,
right,
okay. So
yeah.
it's a movie where like I watched this movie a week ago and it just felt like forgettable in a way, which I was shocked to see because like Frankenstein and like the other ones I've seen of that era really linger in my head of some shots and stuff like that.
like I've never seen Frankenstein, but I just think of it's alive, and it's like this grandiose boss performance, and it's very memorable. It's like it's totally cemented in pop culture, and like I guess the quote unquote big moment is when he's going after Mina and he's trying to, or not Mina, to Van Helsing, and he's trying to do the mind control, and he's just like using his wrist like this, and then going like this, and Van Helsing kind of starts walking towards him and then just kind of starts walking back, and then just like, okay, now I go. And then he just like runs off screen. And now it's just like this. Also, can I talk about the bat marionetting? It's been on my head the whole time.
I love it.
It's horrendous. It's so bad.
It's so bad.
It's so bad that it's amazing.
It looks like it's like a middle school production of Dracula where they just have a little bat out with on a string and like, oh.
Yeah, it's Sesame Street.
Like, and especially the first time it comes to visit not Lucy in the window, and then the bat's like there, and it's like, okay, I get it. It's supposed to be coming closer, and then it like cuts to her in the bed, and then it cuts, and it's just like a little bit more in the room, and then it cuts to her again, and now it's just a lot more in the room, and then it cuts to her again, and then there's Dracula. I was like, guys, where's like the smoke? Give me like you have
atmosphere,
smoke.
Anything.
I was going to say, did they lose half their smoke budget? Like, did they blow it all early? Because like there are scenes where I'm just like, is that just a trail of smoke coming out of the ground? Like, what's happening? And then they just stop doing it after a while, and then it comes back. It's so weird.
It felt like that was probably like Todd Bryan just loses interest. Like, fuck it, just shoot it. Just
Yeah,
shoot it. I don't care about the fog
Yeah.
machine's not working, whatever. We'll just put it in the can.
Yeah.
We're good.
London's not known for their fog. No one's gonna care.
Listen, we're shooting in September. It's got to come out in February. We just got to get this junk out on the streets. Okay, I don't care what it looks like. Just get it out. Just get it out, because that's what this movie feels like. Like, it feels like a direct to VHS tape from like 1989 that some like 3-4 film students just made in their backyard and just like broke into a mansion and filmed some scenes. And
Right.
like it feels like this, yet it's like this movie that, like, there was that Variety top 100 list of was it Variety that had that?
Yeah,
top
Brady.
100?
Yeah.
And this had it like at 35. I was like, I haven't seen that many horror movies, but I've at least seen close to 100 now. I ain't putting this in my top 50. Probably not. Like, this is near the bottom. Like, this.
There's so much better adaptations of Dracula, I feel like, that have come in since. And it's not even just like a modern sensibility thing. I mean, the one like Nosferatu beforehand, and it just feels like when you look at like what was going on at the time, I feel like this was just kind of just a lazy, just like whatever. There's some people that give their game, like Bela Lugosi gives this game, Renfield gives this game, but other than that, the cast was just. It's like they didn't even know what they're in. They didn't like ham it up or like really make it interesting. It just felt kind of like a boring like version of the play you see when you're dragged to a field school and a field trip on middle school. You're like, oh, this is the community theater, like Westchester County of Dracula right here. It's like, oh God, do we really have to watch this right now?
Do you think it moves up in people's minds in the same way it does for me, that once Renfield was falling really slow down a giant set of stairs and then falls somehow into either a box or a coffin at the end of this giant stairs, I was like, this is the funniest thing I've ever seen. Can we bump this up a few spots? Like, because again, the unintentional humor of this movie, I think, actually makes for a better legacy. It's like right up there with Bela Lugosi's eyes.
I think it's interesting because it has this weird legacy of like, oh, it's one of the classics. Like, yeah, just you appreciate it from the time that it's in. And then you think about it and you're like, we're 8 years from Gone with the Wind, 9 years from Citizen Kane. Like, we're talking about like truly great films. I mean, you have Charlie Chaplin's making, what year's City Lights? Like, that's right around this time, right? And like, I'm just thinking of like, these movies, even though some of them silent, some of them not, I'm like, those are great narratives. And then it's just B movie trash. It's just B movie trash.
Yeah. There's a tweet I saw recently that was lingering in my head when I was watching this about how the invention of sound for movies set back the visual language of cinema by like 10 years. And you can really feel it with this, where it's just like, they forgot that they were supposed to shoot a movie like dynamically or anything. I mean, it's not like this did not exist. There's like so many examples of movies you could see of like, there's that one famous clip of like the people in a bar where it cuts to one person and another person and another person, and another person. And it's like a crane shot kind of thing. We're like, oh my God. And that was, I think, 1925 movie. I'm forgetting what it is, but we had the visual language to do it, but it just felt like they didn't care. And they're like, whatever. This is just a cheapo.
Are you talking about the dolly shots from what's it called? The first Academy Award winner, where it like with the champagne toast and the camera just pushes through there. Yeah, that's from like a very famous, well-renowned movie, and like that is iconic. But I do agree with you. It's almost like the jump that that Hollywood attempted to make like 3D. It was like, we had Avatar, where it was like, okay, this is cool, like I get this, and then every movie that came out after that was in 3D, and it just like it was just terrible.
Yeah,
it was just like the worst thing, like where I just was like, I don't want to see a movie in 3D. Please stop. Please don't make me
spend $5 more for a ticket
and make me wear stupid glasses for 2.5 hours.
Like, oh God, as someone that wore glasses, especially back then during that era, that was the worst. Where it's like, okay, so I have to wear 3D glasses on top of my regular glasses. Like, fuck this, no.
Right.
This is awful.
Yeah.
But that is a great point about how it does set it back, because you just have this advent, and like when you think about it for movies, sound is so crucial for it. Like it's such a big part of it, and then adding this compounding effect of being like think about if you're 1928, Mark, how am I going to market this? Nah, market it like a Broadway play you can go see on a screen. Okay. Like that's kind of what they were. I would imagine most of the movies that were made were kind of like at the time. It's
Yeah.
hard to get a lot of them, and it's weird about like William Friedkin had a very interesting point, talking about like the staying power of movies, how more and more of them will disappear as time goes on from like the popular culture's mind, which is why he has such reverence for a movie like Citizen Kane. It's like the time you're saying it, it's like it's been 80 years since this thing came out, and we're still talking about it with such
Right.
reverence. Like it clearly did something right. And this one, it's almost like it's just the novel, and then this just being the first on screen, even though Nosferatu technically is the first like on screen portrayal of Dracula, and you get a pretty decent Dracula performance, but the movie's bad.
I'm not as steeped, you can imagine, in 1930s, early 1930s
same.
films as I wish I could be. But I wonder how like shocking it was. It's kind of like as if I showed someone like, say, the Blair Witch Project, and I'd be like, you don't know how crazy people went for this movie and how there were lines around the block and I couldn't find a non-sold out show to see it for like weeks and all these things. And, and then like my kids, who are like just maybe starting to get of age to watch something like that, they'd be like, this is boring. What the hell is this? Or like they might not get what the appeal or any of that stuff. And that's only, that's 99, right? Like, so I think we're talking 25 years. So for somebody to watch something that's borderline almost 100 years old, like that's amazing. But like I said, I tried to not let it off the hook completely, only because, guys like Capra and Hitchcock and whoever else are like right around the corner.
And there's great stuff that came before it. Like I kind of almost wish we just watched Nosferatu instead of this.
Yeah,
just for that kind of like,
no, so much better. But
like,
you guys control your own show, right? Like you're not you're not sponsored by the Lugosi family, right?
Okay, well,
like,
I can only say that after watching this and being like, this is junk. Oh
right.
Well,
yeah.
Our whole mindset was like we watched Ed Wood and we were talking about Ed Wood and like how great that movie was and like, oh, like I don't think either of us have seen the original Dracula. Why don't we cover that? And we're like, yeah, that sounds good. Let's go for it.
Yeah.
When Andrew, I did send you like a list of like some of your list of movies you haven't seen before, and you said I figured movies you suggested, but there's some where I was like, oh, we could do this, and Tim's like, no, we should do Dracula. That's gonna hit. And now we're all like, fuck, like why do we pick Dracula?
But sometimes these movies and these type of conversations, like this is almost a lot more fun to be like, this is fucking weird, right? Like just getting more into it.
Yeah, exactly.
Instead of like, I just watched Hereditary for the first time, and if you guys were doing like an episode or something like on that, it'd be like, okay, but that's, recent-ish, and we'd end up talking about who likes Robert Eggers the most or whatever, or Ari Aster, excuse me, the most instead. But like okay, whatever. Like those things are so many people have done them because it's like these modern classics or whatever. But if you go back almost 100 years, it's like, who the hell is doing that? But, hey, we're in the Halloween season. This the Universal monster thing is also a thing happening as Wolfman's coming out in, 2 months?
They're making a world, like, at Universal. Like, opening a new park that's just, like, the monster, like a section that's going to be, like, the monsters.
Like, but it's so funny that, what was it? Probably right before COVID was The Invisible Man. Right.
Oh, yeah.
And then now that was a big hit. It made like a bunch of money and it did really well. And now we're getting Wolfman. And like, I don't know if we're slowly getting this because they've tried to reboot the Universal Monster thing so much.
Remember the Dark Universe?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, the Tom Cruise mummy is like brutal. Yeah.
And if you don't get why I was screaming like that, there was a clip of the movie that released before audio was.
It was like a trailer.
Of him.
Yeah.
It was like him spinning around in a plane, and it's just him going, whoa, whoa. And it's very interesting to me because Tom Cruise has done such an excellent job of like picking his career out, especially the latter half of his career. Like, very targeted specific projects, especially with like the Scientology stuff. Like, he's a bit of a controversial figure, but he somehow still has a very good public image because he makes very good choices with the projects he decides to work on. And then The Mummy was just thrown in there.
Yeah, it's a tough beat.
I do remember Red Letter Media had a conversation at the time, like they did on like their review show, and they were saying like, I'm pretty sure this movie was just made for Chinese audiences because it's so nonsensical, like, and it adheres to so many censor limits. Like, it's made for a foreign market. It's kind of like the Transformers movies, where it's like, this isn't made for us. It's made to make money in foreign markets. It's not made for us, which I think is
at that time that could actually be true.
Yeah, at that time, it's definitely a big factor of it. But I think now it is time to discuss who could be the star of the show.
I am a star. I'm a star, I'm a star, I'm a star. I am a big, bright, shining star.
All right, guys. Who's the star of the show? I think Bela Lugosi is your obvious candidate, but I don't think he gave the best performance.
Yeah. If I had to go, I think the obvious answer is Bela Lugosi, but I'm going to go with Renfield, who was played by Dwight Fry. I think that just his like transformation to like a normal kind of guy in the beginning to him being manic is just so good. I think he gives a great, insane performance. It's not shocking that apparently he was typecast the rest of his career as just like manic, crazy characters, because he just plays it so well in this.
Yeah, and if it's not those two, I would just say it has to be The Orderly, because he made me laugh way too many times. There's that one scene where he's talking to the like nurse or whatever, and he's like, they're all crazy except for me and you. Sometimes I have me doubts about you. And she goes, yes. It just makes me laugh. It's like Abbott and Costello, like they're like sitting side by side. It's like, it's vaudeville. I was like in the middle of a freaking vampire movie. Yeah,
it felt like it could be a Scooby-Doo episode where it's just like their characters are running around, and you just have like two characters making a joke like on a screen as they're like running around. Like it was part of that there, except there was no pacing to the chase at all. But
but it's like in terms of like Renfield though, I think that he had the best shot of the whole movie of like when they find him in the ship, just like staring at them.
Definitely.
That was definitely
Shout out to the journalism done at that time. Did you see the newspaper where it was like basically guy with crazy eyes on this like weird boat like that? What? Why are they writing about like they were so direct about what was going on there? And I was like, why is Renfield admitting that he wants to eat bugs and needs to eat blood-filled like small animals and stuff in this newspaper article? What's going on?
I guess it's not that much more interesting. It's also shocking how that was the last good part of the movie for me. Or like seeing Renfield right there was just like, that was great. And then the movie just went off the rails. I thought also just the whole scene of them on the ship was really great. I mean, we had that movie last year, which I still haven't seen.
The last
Voyage of the Demeter.
Demeter? Yeah. Oh my God, that movie's so bad. Oh my God, no.
That's disappointing. Because it sounded like a cool idea. Like, let's just make a whole movie just based on that one chapter. And
same.
Just boring.
So bad. Yeah, really boring. Some very mediocre performances. They took away all the cool parts of what you would think that this movie could provide. And quite frankly, even when I saw the trailer, I was still all geared up. And I was, it just, flat. Didn't work. Yeah.
Disappointing.
Yeah.
Disappointing is the way to put it. I was disappointed. I think there's a part of me that appreciated Bela Lugosi's performance because it is so restrained compared to like the depictions that you get of Dracula outside of that, and like the vision of your heads. It's very controlled. It's very theatrical, but it's very in command, and it's very menacing. And I think it's I think it's a bit understated in there. I just think he had a really poor script to work with. And just some like odd choices there, but I thought he like brought the physicality of Dracula to the screen very well. So I wasn't really disappointed in his performance. It was really just the rest of the cast that let me down, except for Martin and Renfield. Those are the only two that I was like, you're my guys there. You're the one. You're trying. You're still trying.
For sure.
Everybody else is like, I'm getting paid. Whatever.
Oh, we're doing this fun little Dracula thing.
Yeah.
They might speak in reverence of it after the fact, but when they were making it, they're probably like, "Oh, this terrible monster film is going to come out soon in a couple of months. It's going to end my career."
It's disappointing that Bella didn't get a good sequel out of this. I mean, Abbott and
Yeah.
Costello is just one thing. I mean, that's a great movie in its own right. That's a horror comedy. The difference between him and Boris got to do Bride of Frankenstein after, which I think is
Right.
10 times better than the original Frankenstein. And it's disappointing we need to see Bella deeper into the sound era as Dracula in a straight serious horror movie.
Yeah.
Which is not this. So my pick is Bella. I think he deserves it. Now it's Muppet time.
Are you ready, comedy partner? Waka waka.
All right, fellas. I think we have to just dismiss the idea of them adapting this specific movie into a Muppet adaptation. Because if we have a real conversation here, a Dracula Muppets movie would slap so hard. They'd have so much fun with it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the Count is the Dracula. I mean, that's a layup right there, obviously. I mean, that's who he is. And then Kermit would be John Harker. Miss Piggy would be Mina. Yeah.
No,
Renfield.
No. We're keeping Dracula and Renfield, and we're throwing the rest of this, and we'll keep the Foreman, and we're throwing the rest of this junk out. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm not doing a one-for-one adaptation of this movie with the Muppets because they can't even save this. I want a Dracula Muppets movie. I want the Count as Dracula, but just do your own thing with it, baby. Just be like, yeah, we're remaking it, and then just do your own thing.
So who would be Renfield? Would it be Gonzo?
I kind of like Kermit. I kind of like Kermit as Renfield. Like, very different role for him, but I think.
When Kermit's like all manicky, and he's like, oh, that's like him the whole time.
And then you fill in the world there. It's kind of hard for me to try to create a script on the spot for a movie.
I want Sam the Eagle playing Van Helsing, I think, though.
Yes,
I
so
agree with that.
stately.
Yes.
I just need that. Yeah.
Yeah,
that'd be perfect.
That's who I was thinking of too. Yeah, we would keep Van Helsing, but not this portrayal of Van Helsing. Like, give me Monster Hunter Van Helsing.
Yeah, let's get some Hugh Jackman in here.
Like, give me some slapstick in here. Like, give me something.
Fozzie needs to be the orderly if we're staying true to this script.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they could do a Muppet Dracula adaptation. I just don't think it's this.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
By the way, isn't there like a famous like GIF of like Kermit as a vampire? Have you guys ever seen that? I think there was a Muppet
Show.
I
know. It was I'm looking at it right now. It's him with Vincent Price on the Muppet Show. And then like he also has some fangs and he like tries to bite Vincent Price or something like that.
Right, yeah. Which probably has more intensity than most things in this movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll put it in the chat right now.
But let's move on to review time. Fellas, give me your score out of 5. I will be honest with you. I will give this a score out of 5. I was actually, my first response out of this was to just not give it a rating because it is this weird historical film that does have reverence, but like it's terrible. And I don't know if you don't want to give it a score and you just want to give it the little like written note on Letterboxd, like I totally understand you there. This is the only time I'm offering this, by the way. Only time.
I thought you were like, my mom wrote me a note that I didn't have to put in a score for this. I was more hoping for that, but yeah, I'm with you.
Sure, if your mom wants to write you a note,
you just get the smiley face on the paper.
Yeah, exactly. Please excuse Andrew from the scoring section of this podcast.
Well, this movie feels like if Ralph Wiggum made a Dracula movie. I don't know why, but now that I thought
Dracula.
of it, it just makes sense. But yeah, Andrew, give me a score out of 5.
I'm going to be kind and say 3, taking in historical significance. The like it's messy, clearly, but again, taking context of when it came out, the performances that we actually do like, but obviously taking it away for the detractors of like some of the eye-rolling stuff that occurs in between. But I think again, starts well, ends well enough, but I still can't forgive like just shying away from doing vampire stuff in a pre-code era.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Tommy, what about you?
All right. So yeah, I watched this movie for the first time a week ago, and I was thinking of rewatching it before we recorded just to like, get myself familiar. And I was like, I don't feel like watching this movie again. Once was enough for me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go 2.5 out of 5. I think. That's also keeping in like the historical significance of it. But I feel like this movie had a solid opening, and then it just fell flat to me after they got to London. It just felt like the script didn't really know where to go after there. So, but Bella was great. Renfield, I thought was great. I just wish that the direction was sharper. I mean, even if in the time their movies are so much better directed than this. So I can't even say it's just like, oh, just 1931, like whatever. And it's just this was missing a killer score, which would have made the horror hit. It makes me think of how, like they said, when John Carpenter shot Halloween, he first did it without a score, and the producers were like, this is not scary. What the hell did you give us? Then they add the Halloween score, and all of a sudden there's the most terrifying movie ever.
Yeah.
And this movie could have benefited from that. So I'm curious to see how the Philip Glass score they made in 99 would have fit in with this.
Just I don't even, at least in Halloween you can see the visual language of scares. I look at this like what, him leaning his neck in and then just fading to black. What score is saving that? I'm gonna give this a
You'd be
one and a
amazed.
I'm gonna give this a 1.5 out of 5.
Oof.
And that is
Brutal.
great. That's grading in the historical significance. Because if I didn't, this would be half a star junk. Like, or like I
Right.
thought this was garbage. I'm going to be completely transparent with you. When I have to pause a movie 40 minutes in to just see how much longer I have to go, and I go, oh my God, and it's a 75-minute movie.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just trying to be truthful here and just say, like, don't waste your time with this. It's poorly directed. It's an interesting, if you're into the history of the Universal horror monsters, watch it. That's the only way I could ever possibly recommend this to you.
Yeah.
I can't. The script is nonsense. The the beginning's cool. The first 10 minutes are cool, and then the last 5 minutes are kind of cool until it's not cool for the last minute. And then everything else in between is just horrible. Like I just kept waiting for something to happen, and just nothing happened.
Yeah.
And it was
Yeah.
all over the place. And yeah, I can't in good consciousness give this a higher score. I will give this 1.5 stars. I think I would have given it higher until you guys talked on the point of like there were significantly better movies before this. There were better movies around the time of this, and not that far away there are masterpieces that we long remember.
Yeah.
I can't excuse this. I can't excuse this on the count of like, what's the first Dracula movie? It's like, yeah, and it sucks. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
that's just the truth.
Well,
Like,
the good thing about this movie is you can be as harsh as you want because everyone who made it is fucking dead.
Yeah. It's true.
I'm just gonna get a letter from like Bela Lugosi's family being like, "How dare you?
Yeah,
How
like
dare,
the
how
state.
dare you?"
The state they specifically look out for any time people cover Dracula. I think his son's still alive.
One of his sons or grandsons is still alive, and it's just like, listen, we don't work. We live off the streaming revenue of this money. We are very poor. You can't be giving bad reviews out there. Yeah, so that's my review. Maybe I'm being too harsh, but I wanted to turn this movie off 4 times, and I think if I was watching this not for this podcast, I would not have finished this movie. And I think
Yeah.
that's just my testament. Like I think we watched Samurai Cop, and Samurai Cop is a better movie than this. Okay.
Well, that's different because that's going for entertaining like bullshit.
I don't think it was going for entertaining bullshit.
Granted, I watched that really high in the basement once, like years ago.
It's just a bad, like it's just a good bad movie. But like at least it's entertaining and it had like a little bit of a budget to it. This is just like wanted to put me to sleep. Man, I can't recommend this to anybody. I couldn't. I couldn't in good conscience give this.
I guess just
score.
watch the
Yeah.
YouTube compilation of Bela Lugosi and Dracula, like the 5 minutes, and that's it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all. That's all I could recommend. I wouldn't recommend watching Van Helsing in this one because oh boy, gosh.
Yeah, the pacing of this movie, doesn't it feel like when you wrote like an essay in school and you're on a word count where you're like,
Yes.
okay, I only know about probably 3/4 of a page stuff, but I'm going to enlarge the font and
Add
double
period
space
points.
and whatever.
Like double the period, double the size of the periods exclusively.
I
go
got
through
called
and do
out by
that.
that by a teacher in middle school.
Of course you did.
She
course you
totally
did.
she totally called my bluff. And I was just like, she was like, she called my parents, left a voicemail, and be like, "It seems like your kid left increased the font size to 18."
I was going to say 18 too. It's so funny.
18.
Because something about
You
once
had
you hit the
submitted
2,
at-
you're like, I
you had
can't do
submitted
it.
at 12. You put it at like 12 and a half,
Yeah.
like 13.
Oh,
maybe.
I did
like,
not think ahead. I was just like, it was some
Yeah.
science report I did not care about. I was just like,
clearly. What did Mrs. McGinnis call your
I
house?
think it was Miss Davis or something.
But yeah, Dracula. This podcast is a better work of art than Dracula. I'm just going to leave it there because
Well,
this was
that's
very
without a
entertaining.
That's
doubt.
bold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was very entertaining.
Yeah.
Andrew, thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate you coming out. You want to tell people where they can find you?
Yeah, like you said in the intro, and thank you so much for having me, guys. This was a lot of fun. At Recent Act Pod on the socials for the podcast. You can find us on Apple, Spotify, all the biggies. We cover, as it says, our recent activity. So it's mostly film, definitely a lot of TV scattered in there, but we just watch so much stuff that it's just a full on, entertainment review podcast. And we have a lot of fun, Shane and I. And then I also I write weekly for what's on Netflix.com, where I cover the latest Netflix original film releases. This week is a Sam Raimi produced horror movie. I think it's called Don't Move, where like a woman gets a paralytic.
I heard about that.
And she has like 20 minutes to like escape. And violence probably ensues somewhere, but the trailer's pretty decent, so we'll hope for the best on that one. But yeah, so that's really where to find me, at Jokes on Drew on Instagram and Twitter, if you want to follow me and get all my BS and see my wonderful pictures of me hanging out in hippie country watching movies over the weekend or something. That's me.
Awesome. Thanks so much for joining us. Tommy, any final thoughts before we wrap this one up?
So next time we should cover Frankenstein instead. So a little better Universal Monster. Or maybe we just don't go with the older movies. Maybe it's not our speed. But anyways, thank you guys so much for listening. You can find us on social media at CNETPod. That's on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. Timmy, I still post on Thread, so I can still say that. And
The dead platform, you're just wasting your time.
Yeah, it's a quick copy and paste. It's 5 seconds. But anyways, you can find us on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, and leave us a 5-star review. Helps us out, helps us grow the show. And next week, we brought it up earlier in this pod, but we're beginning covering the Blair Witch Project. Timmy has never seen it. So, and we have a special guest upstairs, Steve, again. Tim might not like it because he didn't buy into the hype that was real back in 1999, but we'll see.
I'm gonna go in buying into the hype, and then we'll see what happens. But yeah, we're looking forward to it. Andrew, thank you once again for joining us. Tommy, pleasure as always, and we will see you all next week.